in all of Christian art, maybe there's no more viewed, pondered, thought about, discussed piece of art than Michelangelo's Pieta, the dead body of Jesus in the arms of the Blessed Mother. And I suspect, having talked to people over the decades about having seen it and viewed it and thought about it, whether on right there in the Vatican where it is, or whether on internet or something like that, I suspect one of the reasons that it has that kind of power is because it truly, in a way that maybe has skipped by for all kinds of reasons, people, in a way that truly humanizes the crucifixion, the death of Jesus. There's probably nothing worse or darker, oh gosh, more terrible that the human being can experience than the death of a beloved child and being held in the arms of the mother or the father. I remember seeing years ago a little article or remembrance in an obituary column from a mother to her son who had died years earlier. And it said, "To my beloved son, Rich, to those of you who have a son, treasure him with care, for you will never know what agony is till he is no longer there. Until then, love Ma." Yes. It's really quite a terrible human experience, and yet a universal one. It happens every day by the thousands of times over. The dead body of a child in the arms of the parent. But it isn't just the child, it's the dead body in the arms of anyone who loved that person. You see, it's love that gives evil its powerful, negative, horrible experience. Because we can understand the notion of death and talk about it generally in words and concepts. It's when death and evil, same with evil, it's when death and evil hits the loved one, the one we love, that we now understand what it really is. We can watch and hear about and even see on television Iraqis being killed by the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. And the effect on us is minimal. But let one of our children or grandchildren's head be blown off by a stray smart bomb. Just one. I think it was Stalin that said 10,000 deaths is a statistic. One death is a tragedy. That's what he's talking about. When death destroys the love relationship, then we feel the power. Then we feel the power of evil and the power of death in this world. And so, I suppose so many people reject Jesus' teachings of nonviolent love of friends and enemies because they want to ward off death, not so much the death of the whole human race or the death of all people, but the death and destruction by evil of the loved one. The loved one. We always hear, about the propaganda of government saying that by going out and defending American oil in the Middle East, you're protecting your loved ones at home, your families and your children and so forth. All governments play to that. That's the loved one, the loved one. But the fact is that the loved one, as horrible and as terrible as it is, whether it be a mother, a father, or a child, everyone's loved by someone, everyone. And when they die, it's painful. And it's a loss, because there is something about love as experienced by human beings. There's something about love that wants presence. Indeed, physical presence. And so we must ask ourselves, you see, that if love wants physical presence, and we love people, we have people that we love, and death and destruction and killing destroy physical presence, why should we let anyone do that to those that we love? Because they'll take away one of the greatest things that we have, or the greatest, which is life and love. The life of those we love. And I suppose when Jesus went about his time in Galilee and his journey from Galilee to Jerusalem, it could not help but enter his mind that killing people, you never just kill one person. You never just destroy one person. You never just harm one person. When you kill, destroy, or harm someone, you kill, destroy, and harm everyone who loves that person. Everyone. And so, that's why, for example, that in Catholic spirituality anyway, it's often said there were two altars on Calvary. There was the altar of the cross that Jesus was on, and then there was the altar that Mary was on, the sorrowful mother. Because her son was being destroyed. And while she wasn't feeling the same pain as Jesus, she was feeling awful pain as she watched her son suffocate, be tortured, be spit upon, be humiliated. No. It's not the same pain, but it's deep and serious pain that the loved one suffers when the one loves suffers. When I love someone and they suffer, I suffer automatically. It comes with the territory of being human. It comes, it's there. I don't choose it, don't create it, it's just there. And so we know from the Gospels that Mary Magdalene was at the foot of the cross in all four Gospels till the end. She was there. She obviously was there out of love. She obviously was there because she loved Jesus. It doesn't have to be a romantic love or anything like that. It just has to be, she loved this person. And she went through a terrible ordeal as she watched the power of the state tear him apart. And so, it's over. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary and whoever else might have been there, they take the body down and they bury the body. Has to be done quickly because it's a Sabbath. And so they do. And what was it like for Mary Magdalene, let's say, who loved Jesus? What was it like for her when she walked back from the tomb on that Friday night? Back to a little hovel, a little house, a little apartment someplace in Jerusalem, and just, what was she thinking? What was her heart like? What was her emotions like? One can't help but think it was just the black, the most despairing, the most desolate of all situations. Everything that she had hope and love and all destroyed, and destroyed by cruelty. And it's like it just had to be chaos inside of her. But chaos that was just brutally painful because of the loss of a loved one. And what did she think of all the next day as she was just sitting in that apartment, or little house, or room, or wherever it was? We do know how much the love was, because in all four Gospels, it's Mary Magdalene who's at the grave first. She gets up sometimes with other women, sometimes herself, but she gets up before dawn, as you and I would with someone we love, because obviously they didn't have time to do the final anointing of the body. And she's going to the grave. Her worry is she won't be able to move back the stone. And she goes to the grave to do the final anointing. Then she finds that the body isn't there. The stone is rolled back. What she worried about wasn't a problem at all. She finds the body is not there. And she's absolutely destroyed internally, because they've even destroyed the body, taken it. She comes out of the tomb. She sees what she thinks is the gardener. And she says to the gardener, "If you know where they've taken him, tell me. I'll go and get him," which is what anyone would say who loves someone. And the gardener turns around and says to Mary, Mary Magdalene, says, "Mary," not just a name, but the way that a person that loves you and you love them say your name, Mary. And in that split second, the hopes and the fears of all the years are resolved right there. Mary knows death has been conquered. What Jesus said is true. Evil has been conquered. He lives. He is risen. God is who who Jesus said he was, but not by words, not by theology, but by the experience of Christ being risen. And out of that comes everything else. That truth, that experience that Christ is risen, is the centerpiece of Jesus' teaching of nonviolent love of friends and enemies, and of his disciples following that teaching. Without that, his teaching is absurd. With that statement, that death does not conquer this way of love, with that statement, all is in place, all is well. And one can go forth without fear or anxiety or trepidation. One can go forth because the pieta is not the final word. Good Friday is not the last day of Jesus' life, nor of the lives of those who loved him. Easter Sunday is the last word and the first word in life restored, new life, hope. It's our trust in Easter, the resurrection, that is the source, the framework, the power, and the wisdom that is behind Jesus' teaching of nonviolent love of friends and enemies.